keep it alive through these lines I write. I keep it live cause I thrive. I might just blow your mind tonight. I'm so hyped, but it's no hype. From this height, it's direct hits on sight. I'm your type, lend me your ears to show you that there's something in me. I'm not giving up, I'm standing right here, holding these days hostage, and I'll make this my year. We turning fear into love, and the love's in the air. I love doing this cause nothing compares, nothing can share that same type of feeling when you feeling and flare. They can't catch it, it's havoc. I rip to a tear, switch a scenario, my stereos, I leave them impaired. Variables start to change and they're all in my range. I just gotta grab it, it's all mathematics. Every step is drastic, I make it fantastic. I'm trying to take your breath away. Asthmatic.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo.
Yeah, just nod your head with it, so explicit and vivid. Every image is intricate, intimate. I put my all into it, no scrimmage and no rules. I'm a pro tool, hear my heartbeat, beat into the vocals. I'm so loco, lost my mind, oh no. It's Ponderoso, dope, so no overdose, cause it's dope, yo. Man, this is house grown, mixed with some milestones. So I let the style flow down like the Dow Jones, bringing it with some foul tones, letting the crowd know we getting loud, so it's eardrum rudiments. Yeah, we bring it rude again. Move, little hooligan. Music for tuning in, full time to the 10. I'm on my clock like I told you. I'm doing this for dreams we pursuing.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Anti-Media Radio. It's me, Levon, back in action. I missed you guys last week. Oh, man, I had this terrific mystery pain. Man, it was awesome. 2 weeks of this just weird pain, and finally I was like, I've tried all these things. All these things usually work. Maybe I'll go have some internal tests taken. I like to share with you guys things that are alternative, as it is my purpose on Friday nights to kind of balance the program we have on Monday and Wednesday when we discuss a lot of things occurring in the world. We want to have a counterbalance to the often negative things occurring, things that we can do to empower ourselves, things we can do to educate ourselves towards optimal health and wellness through natural and innate approaches, because I think that these things are practical, especially in the time that we live in. I think that they're more applicable than ever before. And these are not new concepts that I share with you, simply things that I believe have been forgotten or misunderstood. So I just like to present them to you in a new lens, perspective, if you will. So I encourage you to take everything that I say with a sense of skepticism. And I think that's a healthy thing to do. I was discussing this with my 6-year-old earlier. I don't think he understood it the way that you will. But it's very important that it's not a negative thing to be a skeptic. I think it's a wonderful thing to have this method of understanding information when you receive it. It should go through an analyzing process. I think of my brain as a little factory, and I process all these little things, and they go through a series of things like, okay, all right, okay, all right, I hear what you're saying. All right. And then I take the key points and I'm like, And then I try and see if it's cohesive. You know what I mean? I'm like, does that make sense? All the things that they said, is that practical? And then of course I try and do my own research, and then I just kind of look at everything as a whole, and I'm like, how true is this thing to, based on my objective findings? And I like to get supporting and argumentative points too. You got to have something that refutes what you want to believe, because that's the only way you can kind of make a decision. So I encourage you, do that. I love talking about stuff that people don't talk about. That is my favorite thing. So you may feel a little uncomfortable, and that's okay. I encourage you not to dismiss because it might be relevant to you. All right? I like things that move in a circle because I think it is the nature in which the universe moves. And back a few months ago when I first began the program, I talked about what I thought was most important. And I tried to have a very well-rounded first couple of shows where I discussed the importance of being alkaline and what it means to be alkaline in your body and the effects of alkaline and non-alkaline food on the body and what types of foods can we eat. What is energy? What is inflammation? What is pain? These are things that I want you to think of because your body has a specific reaction for every action, right? We know this. This is a law of the universe. So because of the way that we've been conditioned, we live in a place where we push buttons and things are instantaneous. We love us some buttons, man. Button fanatics. Think about it. How many buttons did you push today? Right? Isn't that weird? I pushed so many freaking buttons. Anyways, that's a whole other topic. So, it's like this, right? Instantaneous. The pills, it's a quick fix. And I think this has changed our thinking model. It's part of the disconnection you hear me speak of. We have this symptom and we go, oh, I'll just take this, whatever, and it'll go away and everything's cool. Nobody sitting around, well, I can't say nobody, but it's not often that people consider that there is a specific reason for this pain or your body calling attention to a specific area. So, let's see here. Where to begin? How about the importance of an alkaline diet? Let's bring it back around. I like to be cyclical. Cyclical. It's an interesting word. So the importance of an alkaline diet. And I want to say thank you to my good friend, Dr. Freddie, for providing me with this information. These are his words, and just want to give you credit where it's deserved. I'll talk more about Dr. Freddie as he was part of my personal journey recently. He's a chiropractor. He uses applied kinesiology, and I had the pleasure of working with him while my doctor was out of town, and it was awesome. You guys know that I love new experiences because then you get a new perspective, and then you get new ideas, and then you hopefully evolve a little. Either way, it's good. So thanks, Dr. Freddie. I appreciate it. So the internal environment of our bodies is maintained at a pH just above 7.0. Now this means that our internal environment is alkaline. In order to maintain this alkaline state, we need oxygen, water, and acid buffing minerals available as we are eliminating waste products. When such an alkaline environment is maintained in the body, our metabolism, enzymes, immune system, and repair processes function at their best. Stress and inflammation produce acid waste products. Okay, so I want to back up for a second. I know this all sounds good, but I want you to really understand it. So your internal environment is alive, correct? Now I want you to imagine yourself as a garden, okay? Your body, your vessel is the raised garden bed, okay? Bear with me, your garden bed. And all the soil inside is all the stuff inside of you, okay? And the world, obviously, is represented in the same manner. There are germs and things just flying around everywhere around you. You know what I mean? And they have the opportunity to contaminate you. And it's going to happen. It's inevitable based on your proximity to said things and stuff. But what's going on inside of you matters way more than what's going on externally. Okay? So you drink you drink water, which is important. And we've talked about the ideal ratio before. And it's simple. You take your weight, okay? Now divide that in half. The result is converted to ounces. And that number is what you need to consume each day just to function optimally. So start thinking about that in ways that you can carry around water and make it accessible to you. And I know you don't like water because you're used to drinking all these delicious, sugary, sweet, awesomely chemically produced things that satisfy you in a ridiculous way. So you think, but not really. But I encourage you to get really clean water. The cleaner the water, you'll find the more satisfying and the more you crave it. It tastes different than just plain water. I do use a product that I really, really love. It's made by one of my patients. He's an amazing man. He created something called Aqua Active, and it's basically a hydrogen tablet, and it has micro hydrogen bubbles as well as essential acid buffering minerals like magnesium and potassium, all kinds of things that we need to function. And it actually changes the pH of your water so that as a result changes the pH of you. You make a solution with it. It's super awesome. So yeah, check that out. I'm sure there are other things available. People sell all kinds of machines. You choose what's best for you. Do your own research, and just something to consider. Have you ever checked the pH of the water coming out of your tap? It's crazy alarming. I don't even want to go there. I just encourage you to check. You can get these little strips at pool store and health food store, and you can test the alkalinity of things either via saliva or urine. In the morning time's best because that's when things are ideal. You've been resting and you've probably got a stored supply there. So you want your internal environment to be alkaline. And in order to maintain it, you need water, acid buffering minerals. We talked about that because they help get rid of all the bad stuff. And when such an alkaline environment is maintained in the body, your metabolism, enzymes, so your metabolism is what helps moves things right through the body. The enzymes help process things. Your immune system helps also with ensuring that things don't infect you. It protects you. It's your little army man. And your repair processes function at their best. So your body is amazing. It's constantly doing a lot of different things simultaneously, but the overall priority every day is cleaning and repairing. It's so good at it. It's ridiculous. But you need to give it the best ingredients so that it can do so. So stress and inflammation produce acid waste products. And we need to have mineral buffering reserves to combat these acids. That's why it's so important to have alkaline forming foods as an essential aspect to the maintenance of good health. So you are what you eat. Look up this fact, okay? I want you to call in and tell me if I'm wrong, because I would love it. I want you to tell me I'm wrong. But from what I understand, every 28 days, that's not very long, right? That's just a few weeks. Your body, every cell is new based on what kind of things you gave it to build upon or build from. So I love to tell people this, that every day, several times a day, you have a conscious decision of what you're putting in your mouth. And I've got to tell you, I've really, really thought about it. And that's the only way we're ever going to make progressive change towards anything, is when we start taking care of ourselves. Because if we're all malnourished and dehydrated and exhausted and not functioning properly because of whatever, we're off balance emotionally, physically, chemically, whatever the state, how will we ever achieve the most optimal quality of life that we deserve? Those are the kind of things that plague my mind. And I've thought about it. And it all starts with food. What are we choosing to be made of? And it's so important because we can be made of awesome things. You can literally be a billion pieces of awesomeness. Right? And I see a bigger picture. I'm inspired by founder of chiropractic, and he had something called the big idea, and I've shared it with you before, and look it up. It's super inspiring, and he basically has the same passion I do, is that he wanted everyone to be their best because they deserve it. And I feel exactly the same way. And it starts with food. And believe it or not, most vegetables and fruits contain higher portions of alkaline-forming elements. They promote an alkaline environment in your body. Foods that you think as acidic foods, like tomatoes, citrus, rhubarb, are actually form alkaline residues that the body is able to fully break down and turn into bicarbonate and water. So things that you wouldn't think were the best for you happen to be. And we'll go through a list in just a moment. So foods that are high in protein, including milk, meat, and even whole grains, are acid forming. Think of your diet. Most of us are drinking tons of milk, eating lots of red meat, and the rest of our diet is like things like pizza, pasta. Right? It's all the super good stuff. It's always that way, man. I gotta tell you, Murphy's Law, that is the most trolling law to ever exist. That law is always apparent in my life. But you know what? I figured out what the opposite of Murphy's Law is. Do you know what it is? I'll share with you a super, super secret. It's called Lavon Law. And what you do is you change your perspective and you alter your world. And then it doesn't apply. Anyways, back to our talk here about grains and such. So how many people do you know that have something called Hashimoto's or Crohn's disease or some sort of intolerance to milk or dairy? How common are those things? Just think about it to yourself for a moment. How many people do you know? Okay? Now, most fruits are alkaline forming, but some like prunes, plums, and cranberries are acid forming because our bodies can't break down the types of acid they contain. Highly refined foods, consisting of mostly fats, sugar, and simple starches, are acidifying. Now, if you look at the ingredients in the products that you purchase in the conventional grocery store, you will realize that a bulk of the contents within the thing that you're buying is some form of sugar and things they use to fill. And it's so bad. Just spend a little time. There are like, I believe 7 synonyms they use for the word sugar. So, it doesn't just say sugar. It'll say sucrose or some other, oh man, forgive me for not knowing them all, but you'll understand what I'm saying. And these things are what make us acidic, and this is important because that affects our overall health. So let's look at a table here, and we'll go from most alkaline to most acidic. So we'll start with the things that are most alkaline first. The top of the list is baking soda. We have lime, nectarines, persimmons, raspberries, watermelon, and tangerines. Then there is lentils, yams, onions, daikon, taro root, sea vegetables, burdock, sweet potato, and pumpkin seeds. Okay, more alkaline. We have spices, cinnamon, grapefruit, cantaloupe, honeydew, citrus mango, dewberry, loganberry, Kohlrabi. Ooh, I'm going to plant some of that this weekend. Parsnip, garlic, kale, parsley, endive, mustard greens, ginger root, broccoli, and poppy seeds. So low alkaline. Herbs, it says most. Lemon, pears, apples, avocados, blackberry, cherries, peaches, papayas, potatoes, bell peppers, mushrooms, cauliflowers, eggplant, pumpkin, collard greens, rose oil, sesame seed, cod liver oil, almond sprouts, quail eggs, green or moo tea, rice syrup, apple cider. So lowest alkaline, we have oranges, apricots, bananas, blueberries, pineapples, raisins, currants, grapes, strawberries, Brussels sprouts, beets, chives, okra, turnip greens, squash, lettuce, avocado oil, seeds, it says most, coconut oil, yummy. Seriously, put that all over your body. If you're not allergic to it, I want you to just put it everywhere. It's so good for you. I want a bathtub. No, screw that. I want a hot tub. What do you guys think? Community hot tub? Just full of coconut oil. Oh, it'd be so awesome. And I'm getting off topic again. Okay, olive oil, linseed oil, oats, quinoa, not quinoa, it's quinoa, wild rice, duck eggs, ginger tea, yum, Sue Kent. I don't know what that is, but I'll find out. Oh, it's a type of sweetener. Okay, that's good. So that's all the stuff on the alkaline side. That's a lot of stuff, right? And most of it you can grow and you could grow. That'd be awesome to have all this alkaline food just readily available to you somewhere. Some method, I'm sure it's possible. We'll talk about that later. So going the opposite way in the chart here, lowest acidic things to highest acidic things, okay? So curry, guava, dry fruits, figs, dates, persimmon juice, spinach, fava beans, kidney beans, string beans, chutney, rhubarb, pumpkin seed oil, grape seed oil, sunflower oil, pine nuts, canola oil. So as we start to take extractions of things, right, they become more acidic, especially when it comes to the nuts. Then we have, in the grain and cereal section, we have millet, kasha. Wow, I don't know what this is. Triticale? Alright. Amaranth, brown rice. Then we have wild duck, venison and fish, chicken and eggs, cream or yogurt, Kona coffee, honey, maple syrup, and rice vinegar. So if you want something with low acid to sweeten things, the best thing recommended is honey or maple syrup. Oh, I so love that. Honey is the most favoriteest thing of mine in the whole world. That's a whole other subject too. I could talk about that forever. So, low acid things like vanilla, plum, prune, and tomatoes, if you want to use things to spice up another dish that's low in acid. Vegetables, beans, and legumes. You have tofu, pinto beans, white beans, navy beans, lima beans, and chard. Then you have almond oil, sesame oil, safflower oil, buckwheat, wheat, spelt, semolina, and teff. Wow, I haven't heard of some of these things. This is kind of exciting. Then we have goose and turkey, lamb, mutton, elk, and shellfish, cow and goat milk, aged cheese, soy cheese, black tea, and balsamic vinegar. So more acidic things. Nutmeg, cranberry, pomegranate, green pea, peanut, snow pea, legumes, carrots, chickpea, pistachio seeds, pecans, corn rye, oat bran, chicken, pork, veal, mussel, squid, casein, new cheeses, coffee, and saccharin, which is another type of sweetener. So, last category here, most acidic. In the spices, herbs, fruits section, we have pudding, jam, jelly. Vegetables, beans, legumes, we have soybean and carob. nuts, sprouts, oils, it says hazelnuts, walnuts, and Brazil nuts. Then we have barley. For the fowl, it says pheasant. In the meat section, it says beef and lobster. Dairy, processed cream, processed cheese, and ice cream. Ugh. Sorry, ice cream. It's over. Beer. Oh no. Sweeteners, sugar, cola, and white vinegar. I'm not sad about the beer. I have this gluten problem, so I don't get to enjoy it. But I'm super sad about ice cream. That's my other thing that I love. But I'm sure that can be done in a healthy way too, and we'll figure that out. I'm excited to share with you a recipe for an alkaline broth that Dr. Freddie shared with me. So awesome. He gives this to his patients when they're in pain. He gives them this chart and with this importance of alkaline, as well as this recipe to help decrease inflammation. So I'll share it with you. It says, choose a combination of equal amounts from the following vegetables: celery, green beans, zucchini, spinach, and parsley. Oh, sounds good already. So place your vegetables in a steaming basket and cover the bottom of the pot with enough water so that it does not boil dry, but not enough to cover any of your vegetables. Check them with a fork periodically to make sure that they are still crunchy. You want them to have some substance. This will usually only take a few minutes. So then you place your vegetables and the steaming water in your blender and you puree it. Add any of your favorite fresh or dry herbs to enhance the flavor of the broth. Refer to your program, he says, for the amount to drink. I'm not sure what the amount to drink is here. Let's see. He says, if your system is sensitive, place the above vegetables in a soup pot with a lot of water. So you make a diluted version. And you can add any fresh or dried herbs. And he says that you want to simmer it for 45 to 60 minutes. And you want to keep the broth after you drain the vegetables because you've already subtracted all the good stuff out of them. And he says to drink it a couple times a day. So that's interesting. So do some research on that. Can't be that bad. I mean, if anything, you drink a delicious broth. I'm sorry. So, there is a recommended diet for inflammation and pain. Specific things that you can do to decrease pain and work in harmony with your body. So, the statement of purpose of this is that inflammation and pain are often the result of trauma or stress, whether it's chronic or acute in nature. So when our bodies are subject to these circumstances, there we go, it responds by releasing chemical substances into the bloodstream. These chemicals, once released, cause inflammation, edema, and nerve irritation, resulting in pain. So pain is a chemical. Did you know that? You should check that out too. Let me take a drink really quick. Okay, so there's 3 different sections here, and I'll read them to you all. I'm not recommending either of them. I'm just simply presenting them to you, okay? So decrease your intake with these foods. He says animal meats such as red meat, pork, canned meats, cured meats like jerky, okay? Animal fats, dairy products like milk, cheese, yogurt, cottage cheese, etc. Shellfish, lobster, shrimp, crabs, scallops, crawfish, things like that. Vegetable oils, salty and salt foods, alcohol, cigarettes, and caffeine. Whoa, that's quite a little chunk of stuff there, right? How much of that stuff do you love? So, things that we want to increase our intake with. Stuff we want to eat. Fruits and juices like pineapple, grapefruit, oranges, papaya. Fresh vegetables. Oh, so good. Sorry, now I have hiccups. Okay, cold water fish like cod, halibut, water pack tuna. Imagine if you had some sort of system to like simultaneously farm fish and vegetables. That would be so cool. Somebody should work on that. So you want to increase whole grain and fiber intake, and you want complex carbohydrates like breads and pastas. I would recommend gluten-free. Seriously, just try it. I was a skeptic. Like, you gotta understand, I grew up eating the most awesomest food. I had a grandpa from Italy, a grandma from Argentina, and a Polish, French, Irish little grandma of a firecracker. And all of them made things with pasta, breads, oh my gosh, you name it. Like, so much carbohydrate action. Ridiculous. But I had to do it. I had to go gluten-free. And I struggle with it because that stuff is like crack. I've never done crack, but I'm pretty sure it's the same. You know, I'm pretty sure, based on observation of myself and said crackheads, totally the same. Sugar is like crack. Complex carbs are basically a bunch of sugars like smashed together. It's like sugar to the 10th power. It's a lot of sugar. Anyways, water. He recommends tons of it. Half your weight in ounces. Look at that. Same formula. So he suggests some supplements, but I'm not going to go through that. So you guys can do your own research there of things that you can take to support your body in addition. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We're all basically starving because we're not getting proper nutrition from the food that we obtain in the grocery stores and the conventional diets that we partake in. Most of us are just deficient. And I suggest that everybody take a multivitamin. And this is something I'm striving to do, not only for myself, but for my little peoples and everyone I love, is like get them on a program of getting used to taking these types of things until they can be sure of where their food comes from. This is the type of thinking model we have to have. Your health is so crucial, and you can literally add decades to your life just by giving it some attention now. Super excited to tell you guys. Oh my gosh. This garden thing we've been talking about, this, emergence of this idea of building a community around food and bringing people back to the earth and getting them connected and sourcing their own food, this power in so many ways. You're learning how to cultivate, you're trading with your neighbors, you're spending time outside, you're learning the power of your efforts. You're seeing literally, you're going to reap what you sow in so many ways. And it's coming together for us. We have an awesome group of people whom I haven't really put a tremendous amount of effort in reaching out to all the people that I think would come through at this time. So I have a little group coming over just to do a test run to see how this could work, where I'm going to try out a unconventional model for an established bartering economy. So we'll see. I've got an interesting idea for currency. So we're breaking ground tomorrow. We're going to put some food babies in the ground, or I should say seed babies, potential food babies, and we're all going to do it together. It's going to be like collective parenting via dirt and seed. Oh, it's going to be awesome. So more to come on that. So I talked to you guys about my mystery pain at the beginning of the show. And it was a rude awakening because you've been on this journey with me, right? We've been figuring out, what does it mean to be healthy? What types of things can we do in addition to allopathic medicine? What types of things can we do independently? What are some good ideas or things to learn about? And I always try to bring your attention inward because I believe that you are your own best healer. You know what's going on in there better than anybody. And there are a lot of things we can do to help identify that you may not be aware of. Something that I love and that I talk about because I know about is chiropractic as well as acupuncture. And I am expanding my expertise in modalities. I don't feel comfortable sharing them until I know them firsthand. I will never share anything with you that I don't know about. It's not how I roll. So I've been on this personal journey of asking myself, what is it I'm afraid of? That's been my question for the past almost a year now. Because I used to tell myself stubbornly, I'm not afraid of anything. Absurd. Okay. Cool attitude to have though, if you're trying to be like, on top of things, but not very healthy. So I really started digging deep and asking myself, what am I afraid of? And it took me like 4 months to even come to terms with what I was afraid of. And finally I started letting it out. You guys may have heard me mention like opening up boxes within your mind that you may not be prepared to empty. But it was literally weight that just melted off. And piece by piece, I've been kind of taking these things out of these boxes and figuring out, who is LaVon? And as I drop this stuff and I just, let it go, I become lighter. And I started like taking flight. I spoke of emergence. I talked to you guys about how I felt like I was on the brink of something, just awaiting. And I share with you this metaphor of a caterpillar who's waiting to emerge. And I found this, I got romanticized by the idea, and it just kind of became the metaphor for my life, just waiting to take off with this passion for this concept that I have. Not, it's shared by a lot of people. And we'll talk about that. Collective consciousness. Is anything your idea? Oh man, that's a whole other topic. But back to this. Butterflies. It's kind of beautiful when you apply the metaphor to what's occurring now. So I have proclaimed April 2nd, LaVon Day, because I realized that the opposite of Murphy's Law is love on law. And I shared that with you earlier. Remember, if you change your perspective, you can alter your world. And that was probably the first thing that I realized as an individual on an inward journey. So that phrase for me was something I created that just kind of summarized my mission in life. I was always striving to change my perspective so that I could alter my world, so that I could open up essentially my mind, to new things. Because that's how you change, is you have new experiences. So April 2nd, just a couple days ago, I began with grounding. My body was conspiring with the universe to help make it happen. So I've been conscious of the energy emerging from my being, set to make it tangible. The things that are my calling. I had a week of healing, lots of things in motion to help this shift finally occur. And I let myself finally open up to what I think I should do and what I know I should do. So for me, it started with something called trigger point therapy on a muscle called the psoas. The psoas is a super important muscle. It's bilaterally in the abdomen, so it's on both sides. It's super deep and long, and it attaches to the pelvis as well as the upper body. Parts of it even go through the pelvis and onto the low back. It's just a really complicated muscle, and it's engaged in various motions. So I didn't even realize what was going on inside this thing. Okay, it was like so unaware for whatever reason. Well, I know the reason. I wasn't ready to deal with what was going on in there. And I was speaking with Dr. Freddie about it tonight because of the experience I had. It started a couple weeks ago, and it happened for me the first time after he adjusted me. And he used something called AK, or applied kinesiology. Look it up. It's really interesting. It's a way for the body to speak to the practitioner. You use a series of muscle tests to determine what is specifically being inhibited, what nerve, and from where does it protrude, and how, and then he knows how to fix it. So from talking through my body and doing different muscle tests, he realized that this psoas was just, okay? So he did this maneuver, this deep trigger point therapy to release it. And I swear, I feel like I was giving birth to something. Oh my God, it hurt. But I was breathing through it and I just let it go. And I got pretty emotional, like something came out of there. And he reminded me that, the body has a memory and it stores these things that happen to us internally. So you can have something called retracing. It's a phenomenon that occasionally is experienced by people who undergo body work. And it's when you reawaken or you remember pain or symptoms or even memories or emotions that happened before. It appears to be a part of healing process, and some examples may make this more understandable, okay? So a person is pleased with his or her chiropractic care, but suddenly finds the original symptoms returning. These symptoms clear up within a short time. A person receives a spinal adjustment and while resting afterwards suddenly experiences such intense feelings of lightheadedness and happiness that he or she begin to laugh. Or the reverse occurs and the person begins to cry. Again, retracing. Someone receives a spinal adjustment and shortly thereafter re-experiences the accident in which he or she was injured, being suddenly filled with fear and confusion, and the feeling soon passes. Another example is a patient begins to recover his or her health after a few chiropractic adjustments, but one day feels an onrush of severe pain. This might be in any part of the body in the following true case that it was the wrist. Did you ever have any problems with your wrist before? Asked the doctor. Yes, I broke it a few years ago in the very spot I feel pain. You're probably retracing, said the doctor. The area never healed completely and is now completing the healing process. The symptom will not last for long. Isn't that crazy? Makes total sense though, because if that nerve, that comes out of that vertebrae was being impinged, that signal, or that, imagine a letter never got delivered, right? So that pain you feel is that letter, trying to go through that dry channel line. Maybe, you can imagine the mailman trying to hike through a trail that hasn't been used in a while. That's a good little metaphor there. So why does retracing occur? It appears that the body tissues themselves have a memory which records the traumas, accidents, and injuries it has experienced. Since the injuries are often accompanied by a feeling of panic, shock, anger, or hysteria, the retracing patient may feel these emotions leaving as the physical injury begins to heal. Retracing is not always dramatic. Sometimes it may manifest itself as simply an urge to take a deep, satisfying breath while undergoing care. There may be a release of psychophysical energy going on at this moment, though it may not be accompanied by any conscious memories, yet retracing may be occurring in such instances. Retracing is real. Don't think of it as being imaginary or unreal. It's an experience that is very real and can both be physically and emotionally quite intense. In such instances, it's often difficult to see the experience as part of the healing process. Patients going through a particularly intense retracing pattern may feel as if they've had serious relapse or perhaps even getting worse. Although retracing experiences usually last for a short time and often pass relatively quickly, patients have been known to terminate their care as a result from them. During this period, is it especially important that the patient tell the doctor what's going on. Patients who terminate their care as a result of retracing symptoms may be cheating themselves of complete recovery. That's alarming. And I'll go into that in depth in a little bit. Other healing arts that have experienced the phenomenon, I love that word, of retracing has long been recognized by the chiropractic profession, and other healing arts as well, often under different names. For example,
Craniosacral therapy, developed by John Upledger, doctor of osteopathy, uses the terms unwinding and somato-emotional release to describe this phenomenon. Upledger's explanation of the mechanism is drawn from his research on body energies and the role of the connective tissues in the structure. So body memory. From our experience, it would seem that the body tissues, especially the connective tissues, possess a memory. When an injured force occurs, the tissue which receives the force is changed. Perhaps it retains the energy of impact. A level of increased kinetic activity or higher entropy is set up in the impaired area. The human body then either dissipates that energy and returns to normal, or the body somehow localizes the impact energy and walls it off. So much as it walls off the tubercle brachioles during the inactive state of the disease. After the energy of the injury has been effectively isolated, the body adapts to the area. Energy, which is an electrical magnetic prana, chi, or whatever you want to call it. You know, we all have these names for things. We talk about that. Synonyms. Anyways, it is then forced to move around the area rather than through it. When the original injury is discovered, the repressed emotional components of the somatic injury frequently and concurrently release. So you hear that? So when the original injury is discovered, the repressed emotional components of the somatic injury frequently and concurrently release. That totally happened to me. And it was like birthing a truck and then having it run you over and then climb back inside of you and try to get out. It was crazy. I had the psoas where it was bothering me was in the lower left quadrant. So that's like above my hip on the left side. And it was so deep in there and so painful that I thought my ovary had a cyst and it ruptured. That's happened to me before. That's a terrible, horrible pain. And I was pretty convinced that the same thing was happening. So this whatever was getting out. And it happened after my first applied kinesiology adjustment. So then it continued. I had to be told by traditional MDs that nothing was wrong with me. And I was like, are you effing kidding me? I feel this. I know it's here, and I've tried all the things that I know how to do. And my body was like, no, this is not how to get this out. So, you know, I lead you on guided meditations. So I led myself through guided meditation. And I said, what do I need to do? And I swear my body was like, take me to acupuncture. Must be poked simultaneously all over. I know it sounds terrible, but it's so awesome. If you know anything about energy, or if you're sensitive to energy or aware of your own, I so encourage you. The tiny little prick is worth it. It's so good. You won't even notice. You'll be so euphorically inclined to relax because the defragging motion or manner in which your brain just goes, blah, is surreal. And for me, every time it's like, new person. And I feel like my power got turned on. And I went to this place, usually the place that I go after long meditation time, which, let's face it, I haven't had like a super long meditation session in too long. So I haven't been able to like reach that plane of comfort where I can truly just analyze and really just deal with things. But at the same time, it wasn't time for this particular thing. But it became time, and I was super aware. And in this process, I finally just let it go. And I felt so much better. And then I feel like I cleared my block. I've been wanting to write, and it couldn't come out. So I'll finish to you what I figured out, what I know I should do. So I'll begin with saying a man should look for what is, not for what should be.
This notion seems to always consume my mind, perpetually searching for what there is to find. I cannot help my desire to help. I want to be able to advocate practical sustainability to my city. I want to really appeal to their senses and ask them, do we need stuff? A shift in consciousness, planting seeds, not only literally, but on another plane. A reestablished connection to our mother, the earth, I think is best. People cannot be aware of not being aware. My wish is to help guide a new model of thinking, an objective perspective, hopefully to gently remind that we are all the same stuff, energetically involved to be here in this exact moment. Energy is perpetual, this we know. I want to cultivate it and watch it grow. Manifestation. Thriving is a natural flow of life. I want to help it happen. You know the magic in the numbers. Random events are too predictable, but the universe is conspiring. There has to be a change. We have to evolve and make it better. Our systems have lost their practical function. Localized economy, that is the future. Re-establish the bartering system. I imagine our home, a living organ. Its life force, moving essential aspects to the rest of the being, similarly to our nutrient-rich blood that nourishes our creation. The earth is the same way. And we can utilize aspects that are forward-thinking, like the illusions of separation. I want to help remove things like compartmentalization and abstract thinking could be a trend. I clearly see two paths, a fork in the road. Okay? Tyranny composed with distraction, or abundance that is thriving. So I ask myself, what are the solutions? Do we require a self-appointed elite? Integrity, freedom, love, compassion? There is a plethora of things to cultivate. I feel as though we are in an emerging state. The caterpillars. Back to the caterpillars. So, while inside of a chrysalis, caterpillar undergoes a miraculous change. And I've been trying to do research, and I came across this awesome webpage. I'll share it with you. It's called butterflymysteries.com. Okay? And I'm specifically drawn to the notion of imaginal cells. So, imaginal cells, this is how I think we are, okay? So the caterpillar's new cells are called imaginal cells. They resonate at a different frequency. They are so totally different from the caterpillar cells that his immune system thinks they are enemies and gobbles them up. Chomp, gulp. But these imaginal cells continue to appear. They just won't go away. More and more of them. And pretty soon, the caterpillar's immune system cannot destroy them fast enough. More and more of them survive. And then something spectacular happens. The lonely individual cells, they start to clump together. And they get into little groups. And they start to wiggle around and get friendly. And then they all resonate together at the same frequency, gently passing information from one to another. And then, after a while, something spectacular happens. They start to cluster together in a long stream of clumping, clustering imaginal cells. And then they share a frequency, all passing information inside of the chrysalis. So, a wave of good news travels through the system, but they're not yet a butterfly. So at some point, the entire string of cells realizes that they are all together and that it is totally something separate from the old model, something new, something wonderful. And that realization is the shout of the birth of the butterfly. Happy birthday, butterfly. So now the butterfly knows that it's a butterfly, and the little cells no longer have to do all these things the individual cells must do. Now they are a part of an integral multi-celled organism, a family,
who can share the work. Each new butterfly cell can take on a different job, and there is something for everyone to do, and everyone is important, and each cell begins to do just that very thing that it is most drawn to, and every cell encourages it just to do that. Albert Einstein said that everybody is a genius, and that if we judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life thinking that it is useless, right? No purpose, not defined, not utilized. And I struggle with this because I feel like there are so many of us carrying around that burden of not having a purpose or being undefined based on a model that is crap and driven by fear. And it's got to be different. People should be people. People should love to be people. People should love other people for loving to be people. So, as above, so below. We're all motivated by love, right? We just got to turn it on. So I encourage you. For me, April 2nd, Wednesday, just 2 days ago, was Lavon Day. I turned it on. I'm not turning it off. I'm going to perpetuate it and share it as much as I possibly can. My purpose is to educate and empower the mass unit towards optimal health through natural and innate practices, and to establish a sense of community via food whilst initiating a bargaining economy. Watch it happen. We're going to create non-GMO gardens everywhere. We're going to make them available to everybody. We're going to share valid information about GMOs and how they affect our health. And I want people to know how to be their own best doctor. I want people to know how to reclaim and recycle things and create boxes. I want people to know about aquaponics and that they can create a self-sufficient, amazing alkaline system that grows fish as well as food simultaneously. And I want people to know how to take care of gardens and to talk to their neighbors, to trade food and create goods with these foods, things that, they could save a tremendous amount of cost on. And we could share these things with other people. And it could spread. People in other countries and even parts of the United States are doing such a thing. And I say, why not fuel their fire and keep their motion going? So you're going to question traditional stores, conventional media, and so many other aspects of our society. Think of them as the caterpillar's immune system, okay? So keep loving on, guys. Be well. And more to come pending our garden adventure this weekend. So take lots of pictures, and I'll share them with you guys and do my best to teach you what I'm learning as a novice gardener. But if you have the passion for something and you're determined, which are not very different from each other, you will find a way to make it happen. You'll skip sleep in the middle of the night to read a book about it. I urge you to have an objective perspective about everything we talked about tonight, and have a beautiful week. You can find the Anti-Media back on Monday with more news and valid worldwide unbiased information, doing what we do best. Don't forget to check out theantimedia.org. There's always some cool articles on there. And make sure you guys vote at the bottom of them, because, you get to decide who reads what. That's the coolest part about it. It's your energy depends on who sees what. So make it happen. And I'll see you guys next Friday, okay?
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the